Welcome to PhD with Women on It, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack Delivered will be by our guest, Deepshikha Kumar. Topic: Key Steps to Build an Open Talent Economy of Entrepreneurs. Episode 80 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo. And empathy is critical when you are building an open talent economy of entrepreneurs. In today's episode, we are going to learn from Deepshikha. The entrepreneurial lifestyle appeals to a large number of people, boasting authority, prestige, and nearly limitless potential. Successful entrepreneurs seem to have it all. Yet, before you can decide to become an entrepreneur, you should have an idea of the type of business you will build and manage. Fortunately, we have an amazing expert in this field. Deepshikha Kumar is here for Positivity Hack Delivered number 80. She is on a mission to bridge the gap of women in leadership positions. She is the founder and managing partner at SpeakIn, Asia's largest digital campus for leaders and their teams to be one-on-one coaching and group speaker sessions. Let's go with questions because, Deepshikha, I know you're very limited on your time. Where are you today? Where are you calling us from?
Great to be here, Beata. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm based out of Singapore and very happy to support any cause that relates to women being brought back into the workforce, being promoted, being encouraged to be not just employees but employers world over. So thanks again.
Thank you very much, Deepshikha. I have to say that I didn't realize how big your platform is, and the underrepresentation of qualified women in leadership is definitely your major concern. Why is that, and why do you think it's important to focus to bridge the gap of females in leadership positions?
I think I'm as I was telling you, right? I mean, I've lived a 20-year plus life professionally across continents, across geographies, across hierarchies and sectors. So I have, in that sense, been and across situations, what I've seen as a very clear or a very standardized scenario, and that has been that I've rarely found other women on the table alongside me, and which is always mind-boggling. But what I also learned is that a lot of the reasons which pertain, of course, there are the different parts of choices and how our conditioning has happened, where we've been brought up, what we've been told as women that we can or we cannot do and be. But apart from that, I think 50% of the battle still lies within us, on what we tell ourselves, on what we are meant for, what is our potential, where we can reach, and what we can do. That battle is best won when we see more examples around us who have had similar beginnings like us, but have taken a different path. And that's what I want to bring, both with SpeakIn and also, by contributing in my small way to platforms like yourselves, Beata, where we want to encourage more women by showing them examples of women from London, New York, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Delhi, and Hong Kong, and beyond, that you can do it as well.
You can have it all. So, Deepshikha, I wanted to ask you, what is your education and why did you build your platform?
I think so I'm an MBA and engineer by education, and but the biggest part, the of why I started this, Beata, was that I have traditionally always been I've grown up in an environment or in a society where your career choices were limited by what you knew But as I progress and as I matured in my career, I realized that it's not just about what you know, but who you know, and who you learn from. Who's been your idol, who's been your aspiration, who's teaching you to shape your life. And people shape our lives far more than any other learning can. I mean, the most expedited learning is that to spend time and observe and learn from others' experiences, good, bad, better, and which is what I wanted to bring in. Why should there be a limitation in someone who wants to be a great doctor get access to the best doctor in town? Why should there be a limitation to someone who wants to become the best CEO and not get access to a CEO who has been there, done that for 5 years in a row? So that was the premise of SpeakIn, bringing democratizing access, democratizing learning, democratizing the ability to understand what works and what doesn't with the best globally.
Mm. So you democratize learning by offering this platform, and people can have an access to general kind of teachings. They can, view videos, but they can also book one-on-one session with coaches. Is that the only difference from, let's say, Coursera, or do you see more benefits?
So our biggest USP or the offering, Beata, is the one-on-one coaching part, which is giving you an opportunity to learn in a customized format, which is for you, answering questions which are unique to you and your journey. So one-on-one as well as group learning sessions is what we work for businesses the world over. We work for nearly 400 enterprise clients across SAP, Accenture, Shell, Omron, Visa, and more, and providing them, and particularly in two areas. One is on the women's side, where we help women, get coached on from a negotiation to a presentation to a communication to self motivation, self preserving tactics, and beyond.
Mm. That's beautiful. You talk about self motivation. I can't stop but think about the best-selling book called Grit. Researcher and professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, Angela Duckworth, states that grit may be the single most important factor in a person's long-term success. Her research shows that grades, intelligence, and socioeconomic status do not stack up to the characteristic she defines as grit. According to Duckworth, grit consists of passion and sustained persistence applied toward long term achievement. I guess it's a bit difficult when you have an online platform, you don't have that face to face meeting. How do you tackle that challenge of creating grit?
I think the two things. I mean, as a platform, as a business model, we do provide the ability to have in-person sessions as well. So that's also the provision available for organizations to bring in these experts to have in-person interactions with their employees. In terms of virtual conversations, Beata, I think we can never take the warmth, the efficacy, the returns of an in-person conversation, sitting down one-on-one with a cup of coffee, and because every interaction is a rhythm, right? I mean, if you see, there are two people when they talk. If you, as I say, if you silent them, I mean, if you're not hearing anything, what you would realize is there is a bit of a rhythm in their body language. One person moves and the way the other person moves. So you can never replace that rhythm. You can never replace that music. But having said that, as far as learning is concerned, like how we are interacting right now, one on one, I think the benefits of being in Malta, talking to someone based out of Singapore, far outpace that warmth. But it is not to replace, it is to add on that convenience of learning wherever you are on this earth.
Wherever you are, however, not whenever you want, right? Because we had to schedule this call right in the middle of the day. You couldn't join us at 6 p.m. CET because by that time you're having the most deserved rest. So how do you tackle that challenge?
I think, but that's the beauty of it. I think, and I'm rather proud to say that that SpeakIn has created a mechanism where the world has become the canvas of learning, and therefore the number of options which exist, whether it is in Malta, around your time zone, are plenty. If it is not for Deepshikha, I'm sure there are many very deserving entrepreneur women whom you can talk to within the region, and and yeah, I mean, I think that's how I would answer. But yes, there you of course have to set up a time and date for even those who are in the same time zone.
Absolutely. Well, it's a perfect time to now talk about your quotation. I usually ask for life lesson quote at the end of the show, but actually your quotation is so perfectly timed here. And when we are talking about time, this is not the worst time or better time to start now your entrepreneurial journey. And Deepshika's quotation is, when I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I get lucky. Why?
I'm a workaholic. And being an entrepreneur, I think you tend to have a slightly unfair advantage of doing what you love the most, and therefore you never really feel it to be work. But so I think that's my view of that. I enjoy it. I don't think and I don't believe that there is work and then there is life and then there is a balance. I believe there is life, and you distribute uh, your time in this life on this earth between things that you truly care for.
Well, I mean, it's the middle of Diwali, isn't it, Deepshika, or the end of Diwali? Everybody's enjoying their lovely holidays, but no Deepshika. So how do you keep that work balance, work-life balance? Do you need to keep it?
I think I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and I enjoy my time with my family. I enjoy my time uh, when I believe I should be there, both asked of and voluntary. Um, I think as a woman, like you said, I think early in the conversation, we are have it all. I don't think you can have it all. I mean, frankly, I think it's you prioritize your life is about prioritization continuously, and you prioritize every day, every hour, every minute, and what needs most attention, where the most ROI is, what is most urgent, catches your attention, and that's where the calculations come. So yes, I mean, being an entrepreneur and a woman and a mother and uh, and a family person, you have to do some more calculations than perhaps some of the other people would. Uh, but it's fine. I mean, I think I've done pretty okay in terms of calculation so far. It can be better, but no complaints.
Absolutely. Well, that brings me a quotation of, I believe it's CEO, used to be CEO of PepsiCo from India. She was talking
Yes.
about forget about life balance. When you're working and you're passionate about something, got to give. So definitely, Confucius got it right all these years back. When you're doing something you're passionate about, you never work a day in your life. So let's go back to your beginning, creating that platform. How did you create? Did you have to bootstrap, or did you find other ways to fund your business?
So we started with the revenue. I mean, we started when we got our first client. So that was my leap into speaking. The good thing was that we were making revenue from day zero. We had a steady stream of clients when I started, and a lot of my and that's why I recommend to people who want to start somewhere in the journey is to keep cultivating relationships through their life. I mean, my first clients were people that I had worked with in the past as an employee, and some of my first investors were my past clients or my past people that I'd worked with in my journey. So those relationships helped me to get started, and then shortly after, when we started, we realized that we're getting to a certain scale, the shape is coming in terms of product market fit. That's when we went out and raised more funds, and which was the seed capital back in 2018. um, haven't really looked back ever since. We are right now in the process of raising our series A, uh, and the conversations are on in the region.
Excellent. Series A, what's the valuation, current valuation of your company?
It's something that we're working on, and but in due course we'll definitely share.
Absolutely, fingers crossed for that. That's probably one of the reasons you cannot stay with us longer for a full hour. Anyway, Deepshikha, so you created the concept. Did you have a website when you started? Can you tell us a little bit about how you prepared? Because you told us you had a client from day one, but there must be steps to take and build your business online.
So I had a bit of an advantage there, Biara. I mean, when I went to B school, a batchmate of mine had a concept. I mean, the original concept came from him in some shape and form, and but I thought it was pretty ahead of its time. I thought that it's not going to work. And he went on uh, to register a company and to start a website. And but none of us wanted to leave a job, and I really didn't think it'll make money. So I moved on, and I did my own stuff, and so that website lived on. I mean, that website, that concept lived on. And 10 years later, when I did decide to kind of move on and build something, and I'd seen that access problem of not being able to learn from people who can give you real life learning. That's when we started realizing that there is meat in this model. It perhaps needed a bit of a tweak, but because we had a website, we had an inbound traction coming in from some of the clients, which we then used. And as luck would have it, the guy who started it did not, at that time, wanted to do stay in a regular job, and I took over, and I took SpeakIn forward.
Hmm. Beautiful. So, how did COVID change your model? Did you have to pivot?
Oh, very interesting. COVID has been very, very good for us. I mean, may all health restore absolutely very, very soon. But COVID has been very good for us. Earlier, we were focusing only on offline interventions, offline interactions. Bringing in experts for offline learning in a group setting. The moment COVID happened, everything moved online. I mean, moving online, things became far more uh, acceptable. Zoom video calling became a very, very acceptable means of connecting as well as communicating and learning, which predominantly made our product borderless, and that helped us in building our conversations further, and taking things forward from there.
So, offline interactions, what does it mean in reality? Did you have somebody in the field, had to go to Delhi?
Yes, it was in-person interventions with the people, and all learning would happen in a room in a traditional classroom setting, or an on-ground off-site kind of a setting. That progressed that progress to everything moving online, which basically meant that not just from a demand perspective, but also from a supply perspective, now we could very easily bring in an expert from maybe New York to talk about uh, something on perhaps investment banking or whatever. I mean, and for a client in Bangalore. So, and it became a very, very acceptable means of communication. This conversation, for example, StreamYard, I think, wasn't even born before COVID. So, a great example of how businesses have pivoted and how businesses are leveraging technology to connect, talk, learn, and build with each other. Our entire product strategy, we had this in roadmap, but I think it all got expedited. We launched a mobile application 2 months back. We launched the web platform, and all of them, I think, would still have been in R&D stage had COVID not happened.
Fantastic to know about the progress, and I wanted to go back to the female and entrepreneurial gap in female entrepreneurs. I mean, it's a biggest obstacle for many economies to involve women. While every student can benefit from entrepreneurship-focused education, girls, especially middle school and high school age girls, stand to gain the most from it. The underrepresentation of qualified women in leadership positions has created a gender gap that exists in almost every industry. And we have got a little poster now to show, because it's very interesting to look at how much women can change the dynamic. Women make up more than half of the US population and control or influence 85% of consumer spending. Women control over 31.8 trillion in worldwide spending. Women purchase over 50% of traditional male products, including automobiles, home improvement goods, consumer electronics. Approximately 40% of US working women now out earn their husbands. What's the dynamic in India, and do you think there can be change?
I think India is very, very rapidly changing. The dynamics are, see, India also is the United States of India. It's a huge country, which a lot of variation, with a lot of variation with respect to either people working or either people working or being incentivized in terms of salary. Uh, or the density of women. So all this is very different for, say, urban India versus, say, rural India or semi-urban locations. But having said that, I think there is a bit of India as a country is changing very, very rapidly when it comes to women progress, whether professionally or culturally. Organizations, I think, are at a different level of trajectory, and being in Singapore also, and having seen organizations from US or Europe, I would still say that India is far ahead already in that learning curve. But as I said,
That's
it's patchy.
great. Mm. Oh, absolutely. There's still work to be done. How many of your students, in percentage, do you have statistics of how many of your students are females versus
So,
males?
great question. We are somewhat lopsided on BFSI and technology. BFSI, while is not very heavy on women, technology is a very, very heavy women centric business. And what you also see now is that there is a lot of mishmash happening. So I would cut it by sectors, and I would cut it by levels. Absolutely, at the leadership level, there are not many women. It is heavily guarded by men across sectors still. So, and but having said that, across sectors, I would say that we are doing far higher on the technology side versus on the BFSI or the financial services side. And I must compliment and call out companies like PwC, Amazon, and some of these companies who've done very, very well to focus on their women folk and develop them further.
That brings me back to our previous episode of Positivity Hack Delivered, number 47. We had Priyanka Komala, who was talking about STEM is a default choice in India, and apparently parents in India believe that you either have to become an engineer or a doctor. Is that still the case?
At some point of time, yes. Asian parents tend to put a different kind of pressure on their kids. There are different benchmarks for learning, and a different kind of emphasis on education. So, but I think that has changed. I mean, I think the world has seen. I mean, the internet penetration, mobile penetration in India is one of the highest, which has also meant that parents are getting exposure to different kinds of career options, and you can see that in the next generation of employees who are coming up, taking up newer careers, taking up newer professions, and earning a lot of money. So yeah, I think it's being
Yeah.
received well.
So, what would be words of advice to these parents who are struggling to convince their girls? I, for example, didn't succeed in convincing my daughter to go into technology. What would be your advice? Technology or business?
I'm not sure where I've convincing works with children. I think we can definitely talk about the generic merits of where the industry is heading and how technology is going to be the enabler across any profession, any sector, any company. There is no technology company now per se. There are no technology companies. Every company is a technology company. Every company has technology embedded into its product, services, interactions, customers, employees, and more. So, so in that sense, I think uh, you know. But on the other hand, I mean, convincing children. I mean, I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. I can't convince them to wear what I want to get them out to a market. I don't know how we can convince them to don a career. So
Uh,
I don't consider myself fit to answer that question.
well, you mentioned that you have children. Can you tell us about them? What's their career option?
They're very young right now. They are 8 and 10, so their career options pretty much change every day. And so, from being a veterinary doctor to a dog farm owner to a gamer, I think they have multiple options. But from my sense, I mean, um, I'm limited by time. I'm not somebody, and I do I regret it? Maybe some bit that I don't sit down with my girls and go through their detailed homework and understand where they are great, whether it's maths or English or Mandarin or what excites them. I don't know any of that. All I know is that, and all I focus on is that they're happy, they're healthy, they're good human beings. They're able to decipher what is right, what is wrong, and they maintain that level of empathy and respect uh, for people across cultures, age, and beyond. Uh, I think rest will be taken care. I mean, we're paying a lot of money for their education, so I'm sure school is going to do a good job.
Well, fingers crossed, Deepshikha. When love and skill work together, expect a masterpiece, as John Ruskin said. Now, what would be your advice for any career driven woman? What are the 5 top soft skills they should focus on right now?
I think one is that soft skills perspective. I think number one is that I think women are natural communicators, but the ability to be assertive, the ability to be confident of their own thoughts, their own views, I would be number one. The self-doubting mechanism, the road of perpetual doubt, should be traveled less. That's number one. Number two is that you should be more open and in connecting. I think as women, we've been taught to be wary of strangers and to respect our space. Unfortunately, at times that space becomes too far and wide. Uh, be open to possibilities, be open to connections, be open to connect. Not every relationship, not every conversation has to conclude one way or the other. They can just be open, good conversations where you learn from each other and appreciate each other and you move on. That's where learning resides. That's what networking is about. Number three, I think, is the soft skill. I don't know if it's a soft skill, but garner more support. Create a battery of support across you, whether you want to be a professional, a family woman, a housewife, an entrepreneur. You need support, 360 degrees. And last but not the least, I would say that I think it's more behavioral than soft skills. I think women perpetually have OCD. We gun for perfection everywhere. Uh, Life is not perfect, and I think letting go sometimes. That's what I keep telling myself. That it's okay to be less than perfect.
Absolutely, done is better than perfect, as startup mantra goes. Now, what is next for the next big step for Deepshikha? Where is your path taking you?
I think one big step would be to scale from here. We have traveled about 5,000 kilometers from Delhi to Singapore, and to build an Asia wide platform. We want to take it further to a global pedestal, and which is where our US journey has begun. And that would be a big next step for us to start our US operations and also in the meantime raise funds uh, to develop this further.
Well, crossed for that. Deepshikha, I wanted to ask you a final question, which is imagine the pandemic is over and you can travel anywhere in the world and take with your travel anybody in the world. Where would you go to and who would you take with you?
I love London. I think it has a beautiful vibe. It's an absolute balance of vibrance, beauty, and and a lot of coffee. I think London is what I would really love to travel. I love traveling with my children and my husband, and I think I'll stick with them for the company.
I mean, can have it all. You can choose any mentor or any person in the world, and you choose your family.
Yes.
Fabulous. Fingers crossed for that travel to London. I was there just 1 month ago, and good luck with your funding and with expansion to Asia. Thank you, Deepshikha, for joining us today. And this is a wrap with our lovely guest,
Thank you
Deepshikha.
very much.
All the
Thank you,
best
Matt.
of luck. Thank you. So we talked about how to build your platform, how to build successful model. And that's it from our lovely guest joining us all the way from Singapore. I would like to encourage you also, don't forget to tune in for our guest next week. We are going to talk about hacking the future with sex tech legend Cindy Gallop. She's been quoted by me so many times, and it's time finally to have her here in the show. You must either modify your dreams or magnify your skills, whether you do it with Deepshikha's platforms or whether you do it with our platform. We are here to support you, to showcase great entrepreneurs. And as always, our positivity quote comes from positive thinking only and goes, look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder. And finally, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Maya Angelou. Today is your day to hack the future, hack the positivity you want. Thank you. See you next week.